Good morning and welcome to our breakfast show here on Camnet TV, community-based breakfast show which always comes on Mondays and Tuesdays. We welcome you to 1st March of 2022. Happy new month, and we hope this month will bring so much blessings and productivity. Today, like we promised yesterday, we're going to be looking at marital rape, and we're asking, should marital rape be passed into law as proposed by the Law Commission? So I'm not alone here. I'm with my colleague, my co-host, as usual, Zipporah Mshala. Good morning, madam.
Good morning, Alex.
I'm happy to see you after birthday. How was it yesterday for you?
It was really nice. I had a big pizza at home. It was nice.
Wow. Why didn't you invite some of us?
But we were together the whole day at work. And it was at night. You should come today and get yours.
Oh, you left some?
Yes. You should
Thank
come
you.
and get yours today.
Thank you. So what do we have for today that people can expect out of this breakfast show?
Okay, so we're talking about, like you mentioned earlier, we're going to have Miss Charity Kampamba, who's a gender activist, talking about the pros and cons of passing marital rape into law. So you remember last week we had some discussion when the Zambia Law Development Commission was actually recommending that marital rape should be passed into law, and this actually had a number of reactions from different stakeholders, both for and against. And at 7:30, we're going to open the phone lines and talk about the increase in fuel prices. If you remember yesterday, we witnessed an increase in fuel prices. What do you think, as our viewers out there, on their monthly review? Do you feel that maybe this could have a negative impact maybe on the economy? Is there maybe a threat to unsustainability whereby we increase, reduce, and all that? So we're going to expect your views on the same.
Yeah, but also to remember the influence of the Ukraine and Russian war, which has a very huge impact on economies around the world, and Zambia is not an exception. So we expect such commodities, that the fuel, to be, on a higher price because of that war that we are experiencing in Ukraine and Russia. So basically, maybe that's what has even attributed to the increase, for sure it is. So we'll have your comments, and you should call, you should contribute. Let's be interacting today and discuss this to see the way forward as we move.
Yeah, so before we start our day, Alex, let's do our usual morning routine.
Indeed.
So it's now time for the morning boost, and do join us on the other side.
Good morning, Camnet viewers, and welcome to Morning Boost. I'm so glad that you've tuned in. Let's do some simple, basic workouts for you to stay fit and you go about your day. All right, so we'll start with a warm-up for a minute. Let's go. That's 1 minute warm-up to warm up your body. Relax your muscles. Let's bounce. Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and how are you? It's good. So it's gonna be a 1 minute warm-up. Just a warm-up, let's go. Almost there. Okay, we're gonna run now. Let's go. So we're gonna work out for 3 minutes, and thereafter we'll do a cool down. We're cooling down. Let's go. See what I'm doing? That's the movement of my feet. That. I need that from you. Let's go. Let's run. Let's go. Very basic today. Keep going. And 4, 3, 2, match now. Okay, that was your first workout. Let's go to the next one. Kicks now. 1. Kick and let the blood circulate on your legs. Let's go. 3 minutes workout. After that, you do a cool down. Kick. Let's go. Kick. Bring it to the knee now. Knee high. Squeeze the tummy when you do that. Let's go. Squeeze here. Go. Squeeze here. That's the part I'm working on. Let's go. Easy. Back to running now. Let's go. You need this every morning. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. And kick now. Kick, side kick. This side. Back. This side. Kick. Go. Lift your leg high and kick. Go. 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 And that's all you need every morning. Let's conclude now. Let's go. And let's run. Let's run. Bring in the kick now. Kick. Kick. Again. Kick. Bring it to the knee now. Knee. Knee. Last kicks. This one. And this one. This one. Let's go. And matching. Very simple what you've done today. Looks like you have not done anything. And yet it's able to work out. Let's match. Let's go. You're almost there. It's almost 5 minutes of a workout. So thank you so much for tuning in. Basic workouts in there today. And have a blessed day. And I'm signing out. My name is Isaac Matsa.
So welcome back to the show. We had a wonderful stretch, Alex. I don't know about you.
Obviously, you were seeing what I was doing.
I can see. So I can see you moving slowly but surely towards your goal, becoming Mr. Zambia.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes, definitely.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So, next on the program, we're having the health segment with Dr. Chesovalika to just run through the management of burns at home. Did you have any burns when you were growing up, Zipporah?
Minor burns, really.
Minor.
Maybe because I grew up at the boarding schools.
Oh, yeah.
Boarding school, so I never really used to cook much at home. By the time I grew up, I knew how to do everything. So, but then accidents do happen.
Yes, especially if among children playing near the water, which is quite burning, and things just get out of proportion.
You remember yesterday when we introduced the topic, Dr. Chesovalika actually also talked about the need to prevent issues like clutter, to prevent some of these accidents, because there are many type of accidents that happen at home. And yesterday we were just introducing the topic, and she said that today we're going to discuss about burns, and then the other day about falls, and just like that, and to talk about all possible accidents that can happen at home and their treatments. Yeah,
let's learn one or two things from this segment.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Dr. Cheswa Vualika from the Medical Women Association of Zambia, and today we're going to discuss the management of burns at home. I'm sure many of us have experienced burns one time or the other. But to start with, what are burns? A burn is an injury that affects the body, and this can be caused by heat, by extreme cold, or by electricity. So we know that burns are classified in 4 categories. We have a first-degree burn, which affects the first layer of the skin. And usually this causes just redness of the skin and can be very, very painful. The second-degree burns are slightly deeper, and they affect the second layer of the skin. And in appearance, this will look wet and may be moist with blisters. There will be like bumps with a collection of fluid underneath them. The pain can also be severe. Third-degree burns can appear waxy or white and are quite stiff. This is when the fatty layer of the skin is affected. And fourth-degree burns affect the muscle and the bones. These may appear very darkened, and there may be no pain at all because the nerves may have been severely affected and they may not be able to pick up the pain sensation. So which type of burns can we treat at home? Well, depending on the area that has been affected, the first-degree burns can be treated at home, but this is only if they affect other parts of the body apart from the face or the genital area. Those, somebody needs to go to the health facility for them to be checked. Second-degree burns as well can be treated at home if they only affect a small part of the body. But for third-degree and fourth-degree burns, these must be handled by a health facility where you have professional healthcare workers, because what we want is we do not want these wounds to get infected, as this can have serious consequences. So then, how do we manage the first-degree burn? The first-degree burn, once a person gets burnt by either a hot surface or by boiling water, it is important to put that part under cold running water. That helps to quickly reduce the heat so that no further burn occurs. You can then apply just a small layer of Vaseline, or if you have an antibiotic cream or silver sulfadiazine, that can be applied. Okay? You can also take a simple painkiller such as paracetamol for the pain. For the second-degree burn where there are blisters, do not puncture the blister, because that skin actually protects the underlying skin that has been injured. A lot of people want to puncture those blisters and thereby cause more infection, and that burn may take longer to heal. Do not apply things such as Colgate, butter, or margarine. We have seen some people who have done that, and what that happens is that it may cause the bacteria to grow underneath it and cause those wounds to become infected. So, in summary, for the first-degree burns, run it under cold water and then just apply a thin layer of Vaseline or petroleum jelly or silver sulfadiazine, which is an antibiotic. Do not puncture the blisters, as they protect the underlying skin. Do not apply things like Colgate, butter, or margarine, as those may increase or cause the wounds to become infected. There, we'll end our discussion on the management of burns at home. For the 3rd degree and 4th degree burns, please go and be seen at a healthcare facility where professional staff will be able to attend to you. Thank you.
So there you have it, a story, there you have it, the health segment telling us how to deal with burns at home. And Alex, I'm sure you've learned 1 or 2 things about how to distinguish a 1st degree burn, a 2nd degree burn, and definitely not to apply butter, not to apply Colgate and all those things that we used to do when you're
Yeah, self-treatment is definitely not a way to go, especially like you had 3rd degree, going up to 4th degree, you need a professional to actually handle your burn. So you don't need to say like, oh, I can do this or something, but you really need health practitioners to work on your burns, and you are assured to get healed in due time.
And definitely knowing a bit of first aid in the home as well is helpful, like so that you know the immediate treatments to do before you can rush someone to the hospital. And Alex, just before we start our day, we always have the money market to let our viewers know what we have on the money market. So what is our rating for today?
Okay, so the great British pound is buying at 23 kwacha.59 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha.04 ngwe. The United States dollars is buying at 17 kwacha.61 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha.94 ngwe. The euro is buying at 18 kwacha.89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha.26 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha.14 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha.16 ngwe. There we have it, the money market.
Yes, and we've seen a bit of stability, like we've been crying for stability.
Yeah, on 17. So at least it has gone for some good 2 weeks to 3 now on this same figure. So it means well anyways, as long as the kwacha US dollars is constant, the effects are quite less on our national economy.
And one thing, okay, so now moving on into the zooming of headlines, Alex, there's a story that I did yesterday, the issue that has been more like a plague, the continuous, the increase of street kids.
Oh,
yesterday I attended an event between Ministry of Community Development and this NGO called for Natural Protection, which deals with street kids. And so according to the Ministry of Community Development, ever since the coronavirus, we've seen a spike in the number of, we've seen a hike in the number of street kids.
Street kids, yeah.
So basically this is because there's been an increase in poverty, so maybe there's a breakdown in homes, parents cannot really fend for their children, and so children tend to take to the streets. And so as well, from the Tuafane, they're talking about high levels of alcoholism in the community. They're actually concerned about the bars that are just mushrooming anyhow, so they feel that should be controlled, as well as the giving of licenses, liquor licenses, that should be controlled. And they're also worried about things that come about with streetism, things like HIV/AIDS, early marriages, and all that.
Yeah.
So just take a look at that story, and we'll be back to discuss more in detail about streetism. The Ministry of Community Development and Social Services reports that Zambia has an approximate number of 10,000 street children locally referred to as street kids, a number which is said to be growing since the onset of the coronavirus due to increased poverty levels in the country. According to research conducted by Tuafane Child Protection and Rehabilitation, which is a non-governmental organization trying to address the plight of street kids, the mushrooming of drinking places in communities has contributed to alcohol abuse, as well as other vices that come along with it, such as gender-based violence, hence leading to children running away from their homes. Speaking during a meeting with representatives from the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Monday, Organization Secretary General Mr. Lavde Mwene adds that there is need to address other problems that come with streetism, such as HIV/AIDS and early marriages.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was also discovered that these families are the same men that abandon their families at the end of it all for another woman somewhere there. Now, men are not involved in the upbringing of the child. That means there's a lot that has to be done, because only women are considered people that have to look after the child. So we found that the challenge that is contributing also to the issue of why the child is not well taken of. It is sad to note here that most of the women we spoke to during the research, which took about 5 months, that they consider themselves that they are already widows, when actually their husbands are somewhere outside with another woman. So instead they prefer to register themselves that they are already widows. Then another thing that was discovered is that there is a high rate of divorce. It was discovered that actually in these 3 areas under study, 11,000 marriages ends every year. Now, the big question that we have to look at is that if such divorces are happening in our areas, who is going to suffer? Is the child.
In adding the voice of the ministry, Community Development Officer Mr. Lacson Chipampa says with the increase in street kids comes an increase in crime, hence necessitating a national indaba to address the problem.
We have decided to go for an indaba, what we are calling the National Symposium on Street Children. I think very soon the minister will be talking about it in the media, just to inform the public what the government intends to do. Because what we have realized that the problem is growing big. We have a number of players that have come on board who want to help out, but we are not coordinated. We want what you are doing here in Lusaka. We get some good practices from here, which we can share with our colleagues maybe in Kawe, in Kitwe, Chingola, everywhere. So this national symposium, it will be for 3 days, and it will bring organizations countrywide that are trying to do something to resolve the problem of streetism. And the Minister of Community Development and Social Services will officiate at this function. And we are going to have a number of presentations that are going to be made. Recent research findings, we have the number of research findings that have been done and that have been research that have been conducted. So we want to take this opportunity to allow those that have done this research to share their findings. And we also want to take this opportunity to share with you the government position. What position we are taking as government? What policy direction are we going to take as government?
The stakeholders have called for collaborated efforts from all concerned parties if the desired results are to be achieved. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it, a story on streetism. This situation is really getting worse, Zipporah. If you check the post office, especially here in Lusaka, the kids are just, increasing in number, and like you earlier said, they are even having marriages like, I don't know if we can call them marriages, but even children, can have a family, and they're just children. So it's becoming quite a worse situation, and which needs an urgent action from government and other stakeholders, really.
Yes, and according to the NGO, they're saying Lusaka alone has about 10,000 street kids, if you heard that. And so now the concern is that with the increase in street kids also comes an increase in crime. Crime levels are also likely to go up, and that's what they're saying. We need to end this vice both for the good of the street kids themselves and for our own good as a country.
Indeed.
Because we're trying to become a prosperous middle-income country, for example, by 2030, but we're losing our human resource was supposed to help us in productivity. So that was basically the issue. And another interesting thing, Alex, is the fuel prices, which has a direct impact on citizens. So basically, just give us a run through the issue, the story of ERB.
Yeah, so yesterday the ERB revised the fuel price in the which they announced through their statement. So it read as the Energy Regulation Board has increased the pump prices of petroleum products by 2.12 ngwe. Zipporah, that means that the fuel which was selling, in terms of the petrol, which was selling at 19.84 ngwe, is now selling at 21.96 ngwe, you know. And the diesel, which has been increased now by 2.61 ngwe, which implies that the time it was selling at just a minute. Yeah, so it has increased by 2.61 ngwe, which is slightly 21.4 ngwe. So basically, those are two most used petroleum products we have in the country, and kerosene, which remains unchanged. The kerosene has not been tampered with, but this still, people are calling for really this monthly reviewing to be revisited, because it is bringing about a lot of talks really out there.
Many people have been saying
at least 3 months.
The economy will not be guaranteed, like there'll be instability in some way, because you find that this month goods are selling at this price, the next month goods are selling at that price. So I don't know basically, but
it
today
could
I
have
want
been
to hear
better.
the views of different stakeholders.
After 3 months, they review, not a month. But anyways, they have reasons to do this. So basically, we are opening our phone lines just to have your comment and your contribution to these changes in fuel prices. How have you received the information, and what would you love going forward to happen? So you can call in using the numbers that are scrolling on your screens. If you are watching us from Facebook platform, you can as well use those same numbers, and also you can drop text in the comment section. You'll be able to review them as well.
And one thing, Alex, that maybe brings concern is the issue of bus fares. This would definitely lead to a hike.
Indeed.
In bus fares, if you look at what happened last time, because, okay, for the past 1 month, after the slight reduction, people have been relaxed. I'm sure you've also seen the way the conductors have relaxed.
Yeah.
You don't really have that wrangle that you previously had with them the other month. You tell them 5 kwacha, when here, though, they seem relaxed. But I just wonder how it will be now, especially that we've seen an increase. So basically, these are now issues where even Mr. Lisoniso Manalushi, people who deal with
commuters.
Yes, commuters have to comment, bus and taxi drivers, that definitely just to have a say on how they feel the fuel issue should best be dealt with. And talking about the war in Ukraine, Alex, we've seen that the issue there is escalating.
Indeed.
And basically, the call has been for like Zambia to come up and with a fuel reserve to make sure that we're not really affected by the same issue.
Yeah, I remember you once did even a story on and to do with the own fuel production, that we have the initiative by Mr. Mlenga Mlenga, that the engineer was actually coming up with this is actually burning plastics and producing fuel, diesel and petrol out of that. So I think if we can support such initiatives, especially that we have the Ministry of Technology, Science and Technology, those things going forward, if we have situation to do with the global disturbances in the market, we can still survive with our own production in the country.
Yes, definitely. And that time I was talking to Dr. Charity Musamba from, we have a call, Alex.
Okay, let's just take this one.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. You're through to Breakfast Show. Your name and your contribution.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
We can get you.
We can hear you. Kindly go ahead and contribute.
You see, fuel prices has gone up. I'm here from Russia.
Okay.
Okay. The reason being of the high price of fuel simply because we are getting ourselves into the issue which is not ours. As a Zambian, let's focus on addressing our own issues so that at least we can solve our own problems. Have you seen currently or previously in winter, as we are in this situation now, it will be very bad. So it's up to the government to understand mission to understand our law as Christians. Not in that other people's affairs. Let's focus on our own issues as Zambians.
And how? Okay, so by focusing on our own issues, so currently Zambia is one of the countries that has been affected by the war in Ukraine, because Ukraine is a major supplier of oil. So maybe how best do you feel that we can avoid being affected by what is happening? Since you're saying we should focus on what is happening here, how best can we make sure that what happens outside does not affect us?
Okay, in that area, first we have to see ourselves here to be open to one another. Because there was a long system in Zambia whereby to talk to the right person is very difficult. So in such a way, you can't solve any problem at all. So let's focus on solving this understanding. Simple system. If you want to speak to any honorable, any minister, any opposition, I can speak to him at the right time. In such a way, that's not the issue. No, it's not the issue. But if you want to block one another, we'll find ourselves in this same situation. So let's be free to one another, honest to one another. Let's love one another. So in such a way,
all right, thank you very much for your contribution, sir.
Thank you.
So it's calling for love.
Love.
And unity. Let's love one another as a country, regardless of the fuel prices. So in case you're just joining us, we're just reviewing the new prices that were reviewed by ERB. The prices, as we had it last month, was the petrol was selling at 19 kwacha 0.84 ngwe. It's now selling at 21 kwacha 0.96 ngwe. The diesel was selling at 18 kwacha 0.93 ngwe. It's now selling at 21 kwacha 0.5 ngwe. That is with an increase of 2.112 ngwe, while the kerosene has remained unchanged. So what is your call and what is your contribution? You can call us using the numbers that are scrolling on your screens, or drop a comment in the comment section on Facebook, so that you can be able to hear from your side what you take of this situation.
Yes, yes, definitely. And so, Alex, like I was earlier saying, before I received a call, I was talking to Dr. Charity Musamba, a lecturer at the University of Zambia, and she was actually challenging us Zambians, stating that our universities, for example, have the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University. So she was saying, why is it that at such places, institutions of higher learning here in the country, we don't even have students, maybe like a special school where people learn such things like manufacturing fuel and all that, so that our local students here can actually like learn how to produce things like fuel to avoid being affected by what's happening on the international market. So I think it's a matter of investment and political will, because there have been a lot of calls for reformation of our education system to make sure that it's not just theoretical, but it is something that is actually tangible, something that actually contributes to development. Indeed.
I was just getting remarks from Mr. Mlenga, who I earlier mentioned, was actually doing this initiative of producing fuel within the country. And one of his concerns was government is quite slow in acting in terms of funding projects such as that, or any local initiative. You know, you find that you have a proposal, but for them to act on it, they don't jump on things quite fast. But as far as other, stakeholders are concerned, when they see something as potential, they run through the proposal and they fund the project so that it starts running. And as a country, really, we have to start from somewhere. We don't just reach the productivity levels as other countries like Nigeria or Ghana, or those who are specialized in oil production. But we can start somewhere. Like you said, it's an investment. We can target maybe 20, 30 years from now to have our own production of our fuel. So if any case comes, any global disturbance, as Zambia, a country will be able to survive using our own resources. So basically, that's a call from the general public and those who have keen interest in the oil production.
Yes, and so Alex, maybe you as a consumer, for example, you're a consumer, isn't it? So how do you feel about, since every month make a monthly budget to be like for bus fares, so how do you feel as a consumer, whereby this month maybe you have 1,000 kwacha for transport, the other month you have 900, and that, what's your thought on that issue?
So you as
a consumer, do you feel it's a good idea?
By asking me that question, Zipporah, you're assuming I bought, I don't have a car.
I know
right.
you bought, Alex. So kindly let us know your views on the increase of fuel. Should it be done on a monthly basis? Is it sustainable? Is it good for economy? Is it good for you as a consumer? Or maybe should it be done once a year? What are your thoughts on the increment of fuel on a monthly basis? Because we saw yesterday, we saw an increment in the prices of fuel and diesel.
And the trend has always been that when there's an increase, these stakeholders sit down and to discuss how do we, change the fare rates. And when there's a decrease or reduction in fuel prices, they don't do that. So one of the commuters who came here in our platform actually complained that why is no meeting taking place, since we had by then a 1 kwacha difference in terms of reduction, but they didn't give a heads up to say no, RATSA, the taxi buses drivers association, they are meeting to readjust their prices. So you hear, as we get now to have a 2 kwacha or 1, 2 go difference, maybe obviously they'll have a meeting.
You don't know, like right now, if you're coming from town, the town center to another area, it's 14 kwacha currently.
Like any
it's
other
14
area?
Yes, because when you're going to town, you can always negotiate. For example, I'm talking about Lusaka currently. When you're going to town, you can always negotiate, but if you're coming from town, it's always a 14 kwacha.
Yeah, especially if you're boarding from the station.
So now with the increment, does this mean people will be getting on a bus at 15 kwacha? Or
even
16
more.
kwacha?
Yeah.
So, like, how sustainable is that? So I'm sure that's something that our commuter rights and all that have to come and look into.
Indeed. So really, what's your core, and what do you feel about these prices, especially that it's being done monthly, on a monthly basis? We're going to be seeing these differences, and we're going to see this fluctuation, either reduction or increase in fuel prices. What's your core, and what do you make out of it? You can call in and make your contribution.
And that issue is price of commodities. If you've seen, we've been talking about the kwacha gaining stability. But if you remember, on Friday, I was with Prudence here, we had the economist, Mr. Chimamba Kanyama, and basically his concern is about stability of the kwacha. And this stability of the kwacha is directly impacted on by many factors such as fuel and that. So if we keep seeing fluctuations in terms of fuel, it means there is no guarantee really that the price of commodities will also stabilize. So this directly impacts on the price of commodities. So it is important to ensure that there is a balance so that we can at least see, because people have been saying, no, this is the new administration and all that, we need to see prices reducing, but basically the price of fuel really has a direct impact. So this really calls for like massive investment in the fuel sector if there is to be any change at all in terms of fuel. And
yeah, the prices of fuel really are expected to be on an upward trajectory, Zipporah, considering the disturbance and disturbing happenings in the in Ukraine and Russia. So I don't think we can now expect reduction because of that that war, which has really a ripple effect on us as a country, and also globally speaking. So what do you make of these developments at Zipporah?
Well, definitely, like Mr. Chimamba Kanyama was saying the other time, he says we now have to establish a relationship with other countries such as Saudi Arabia. Like in the event that it all goes to the West, we can't really import fuel maybe from countries like Ukraine and others. So I was saying we have to establish a relationship with other countries like Saudi Arabia, because now this would be more like a scramble for the fuel commodity. So it's now about establishing a better relationship with other fuel producing countries, and as well as ourselves, trying to find out how best we can maybe manufacture fuel locally. And like you were saying, that same project, Alex, actually there's been the project by Mr. Mlinga was actually went to Shantumbu, like I mentioned last time, where they're manufacturing petrol and fuel at 10 kwacha per liter using plastic and used tires, car tires. So basically, there have been different concerns from stakeholders saying in Zambia, when something comes up, we have this hype, this sudden hype and all that, but then it really goes nowhere afterwards. So it's really about, like, apart from just making news, what are people doing? Are people investing? Are they supporting local products to ensure that as a country we actually become a hub as well, maybe of things like fuel? We stop depending on importations, we actually become a hub.
Indeed.
For example, like right now, because Mr. Kanyama Fred was saying the war in Ukraine has got negatives and positives. So for example, us as a country, in terms of maybe there's a war, of course we have negatives, but then for us as a country, for example, if we're manufacturing fuel, it can be a positive.
Yeah, can be supplying
so
to
war has
neighboring
got
countries.
negatives and positives. So for example, if we invest massively in our oil here in Zambia and such a situation happens, it means for us it is now a positive and it's time for us to actually grow our fuel base.
Yeah, and obviously these proposals have been there for a long time, and like I just said, it's just the slow pace at which government moves to support such initiatives. You know, there's this whole lot of procedure, the bureaucracy around the instituting of such plans. You need to go from one office. If at all you come up with a proposal, you can't just go direct to the minister and it signs to approve that proposal. You need to first go through the secretary will give you a certain receipt, and you get to another office. You know, you find that by the end of the day you are tired, you haven't even seen the minister. So those procedures, really, if you have something that is coming up, it has potential, like in terms of fuel production, the government should have that sense of urgency and just jump on it, instead of leaving it to other stakeholders. Because I can tell you, even that project for Shantumbu, the one you actually attended, do you know people who are actively involved now, as confirmed by Mr. Mlinga? It's people from outside the country, those who are taking interest to support that noble cause. And if we can have, it can't even be quite impressive to have maybe Nigerian companies supporting that project, when we had our own government and our own people, business people, who can actually take part and support that core. So really, that's the challenge that people who come up with such initiatives face. And if we're going to secure a future really in fuel, we need to support such initiatives.
And especially now that we have the Ministry of Small Medium Enterprises, the other time I was watching when the minister was actually making a tour of some of these small businesses like oil, cooking oil, this was cooking oil, peanut butter and all that. So this is something that maybe definitely that they have to actually take a keen interest in. So just take a short break and we'll be back. Do join us on the other side.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid, and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We're reviewing a story that is involving Energy Regulation Board, which has increased the pump prices of petroleum products by 2.12 per litre for petrol and 2.61 per litre for diesel, which brings us now to selling of petrol from 19.8 ngwe to now 21.96 ngwe, and diesel from 18.93 ngwe to 21.54 ngwe. And this is the clip that we actually got hold of when the statement came up yesterday. Take a look.
Fuel is an important catalyst to the economy as it aids productivity. While prices of the commodities for the month of February were reduced by an amount below 2 kwacha, commodity prices on the market remained static, including bus fares. Now, the prices have increased again by about over 2 kwacha. It simply means have to brace themselves for tougher times ahead, and not even these lamentations will change the situation.
We are expecting now all the product to be increased, of which it is going to affect the lives of people.
Ero futi mufunika matandizirako bantu amene bovutika unga bapimisa bantu 5 kwacha amene baoda manje bantu muzabatandiza bwanji nakambati new government kabwerapo vintu vizachita bwanji vizabwerera manje futi vintu vishita bwanji vyenda pamwamba mali tizakala bwanji muziko.
The latest from the Energy Regulation Board ERB is that the pump price for petroleum products has increased by 2 kwacha 12 ngwe per litre for petrol and 2 kwacha 61 ngwe per litre for diesel, while the price of kerosene has remained unchanged. According to the ERB, the upward adjustment in prices is inevitable to ensure sustained supply of fuel to the Zambian market in a short to medium term. Notably, the prices of fuel are anticipated to continue increasing, and this is also on account that, including the war between Ukraine and Russia, which is expected to affect supply of the commodities. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So there you have it, a story on the increase in fuel, and Alex, you can hear the views from citizens.
Yeah.
They're actually concerned about the price of commodities, basic commodities like meal, cooking oil, and all that, their livelihood, how are they going to live? So definitely, I don't know what your thoughts are on that story.
Yeah, apparently there was a promise, which I personally didn't hear of, where people have been citing that the New Dawn promised fuel prices to reduce from 17 kwacha then to 12 kwacha to 12 kwacha per litre. So that those have been, and you know, people ordinarily don't realize really the factors that are in play. They can't really understand if you are not explaining to them. So what they would think is it's just negligence from the side of government to keep on, you know, increasing fuel. But in actual sense, there are factors that are in play that people should now be communicated to. You know what? The increase is attributed to this. But without that information, they'll be thinking, no, there is failure to the side of government. So those are the views really by people. And they are common to everyone really on the ground in communities. And that's why we're calling for your comment. What would you say? And what do you feel about these changes in the fuel prices?
And if you remember, Alex, there was some controversy. Is it the first time when fuel was increased when the Vice President in Parliament said we're increasing in order to reduce? So basically, like you mentioned, in terms of communication, maybe they should communicate their strategy on how they are increasing in order to reduce. Like what is causing the increase? And like you said, maybe we have internal and external factors. Of course, like, this is what has caused, but this is what we're planning to do, and maybe by this certain time you expect to see a reduction basically on the same, because you find that even today, Alex, because they increased yesterday, you find that today, when we are going to do the story, when you go and do the story, of course, we're going to hear those same complaints about increase in commodity prices and all that. So basically, I think what is needed is communication. What is the plan, basically? Effective communication, to be specific, because people won't understand, really. They'll be just seeing figures going up, and they'll be confused. Why are we having such figures? When actually this government did promise us that the opposite will happen. And Alex, I don't know which place you went to exactly, but you talked about the place, I think it was like last week, a place you went to with only one fuel station? Isoka district. Isoka, so, and how much was fuel selling there? Okay, so the complaint was about them having one filling station, and obviously the filling station operates with the standardized prices by the ERB. They can't, they can't change the prices. But what usually happens is if they run out of fuel, they get to those people who sell in the streets. They first purchase the fuel in advance, like in 20 liters. If you saw in the store, they reserve, so that when it comes the moment where the filling station is not operating, they start selling to motor vehicles and also motorbikes, which are actually common mode of transport there. So they double about. According to the operators, the prices can go over 100%, about 120. So if you're selling at 21 kwacha with the new prices, then they'll be selling at per liter or maybe 2.5 at somewhere 350 to 500, which is quite costly for the people who are actually operating in that district. So the cause for stakeholders really to come on board and, if anything, make another filling station so that it can complement the one which is existing currently. And there's another district, I don't know if it's in Muchinga, but... should be... Prudence did the story. Yeah, Nakonde district. In Nakonde. Yeah. Well, they're talking about this, also, it's the same situation basically, where there's only one filling station, and they were selling fuel at 40 kwacha per liter. That was in January. So you can just imagine now how much fuel is going to be costing. So basically that means around that area, everything will be expensive, because everybody will be now quoting the same fuel prices, stating that this is the cause of the same. And one of the things they observed is these same people are selling in the streets, they're adding water to the fuel. So adding water? Yes. In that same district? Yes. So that it Doesn't that have an effect on cars? Yes, obviously, long-term effect, because you can't just realize. Still move? They add a little, I don't know how factual that information is, but it does move. So they were complaining. Yeah, they were complaining that they want to multiply what they have, so they add a little bit of water just to make sure that they don't run out. The people they buy and add on their own? Yes. So it's people at the gas station. No, the gas station is intact, selling at the same prices as the. Because then that would be now another issue. Yes, obviously the media would have jumped on it. That would be pure adulteration. Yeah. Okay, but basically it's the street sellers who go out with. I found them actually with 20 liters, and they go in various localities to go and sell those 20 liters. And 120 liter actually is 20 liter of fuel is being sold at 800. You can imagine. 20 liters. Yes, when they buy from the filling station. So the call is for government to come in, and also the stakeholders who can actually manage to install a filling station just to complement the situation in the Isoka district. And another issue, Alex, has been another problem which I've heard the government stakeholders talking about is, for example, like right now, everybody knew that there's a war with Ukraine, and everyone knew that this month they are not expecting a reduction, or definitely expecting an increase. You notice in such cases whereby there are many times when people expect an increase, there's a sudden shortage of fuel in the country. So we find that maybe fuel stations start withholding, waiting for the time when they can sell at a higher price. So that's definitely something that we as media actually have to bring to the fore, because I remember last week the Ministry of Transport was actually talking about this warning fuel stations that are creating an artificial shortage, because it has a direct impact on many other things, definitely. Indeed.
So we're reviewing a story that has to do with the fuel prices, which were reviewed yesterday on 28th of February 2022 by the ERB, that is the Energy Regulation Board, which increased the pump prices of petroleum products by 2.12 per litre for petrol and 2.61 per litre for diesel. We're calling for your views on this subject. You can call in even using the numbers that are scrolling on your screens, and also leave your comment on Facebook platform.
Yes, definitely. So do call in and let us know what your thoughts are, because I remember, Alex, last week where I heard like different people saying under the previous regime, we found that maybe fuel increments were not really done on a monthly basis. So this somehow like led to things being predictable. For example, people in various businesses could have were able to predict. And so concerns, Alex, are for, we have the 2022 national budget, which has significantly increased compared to the previous budget. But then the issue is where factors, those are some of the issues that economists have raised, stating that we have this good budget, which is aimed at developing our country. But did we put in factors like the increase and reduction, constant reduction, increase and reduction of fuel? But I put into consideration, because we have a budget, we have to work within that budget. And so if things keep going up and down, does it guarantee that we're actually going to actualize what we have in our budget, since we have these limited funds,
already budgeted for, and you have limited funds? That's quite a profound observation from the economists, various economists on board. And I feel, to an ordinary citizen, what it implies is they're going, like you asked me a question of budgeting for transport.
But you didn't answer, by the way, you've not yet answered
because
that question. When
you just put it out there that I'm boarding buses.
Say, okay, you board a bus, say, how much do you put for fuel? How much do you put for fuel? How does it affect you? How does it affect you as a commuter?
No, we'll leave it there. But I'm speaking on behalf of the ordinary citizens that have these monthly budgets to make, and you find that when the fuel prices are like adjusted, like this one we have in March, the adjustment is upwards, right? So meaning it automatically changes your budget. So if you're going out, you expect maybe to board a bus at where, if you're in Lusaka, someone's 15, 16, for instance, and obviously those who are trading, the marketeers, will be affected because they have to transport things like vegetables from far places to Lusaka's main markets. And obviously there's this chain of price changing. So
you find that maybe even things as little as vegetables will go high.
Yes.
Vegetables, tomatoes, and that this
that's just
again,
a logical expectation.
This again, this is this touches on many sectors. If we're talking about basic things like vegetables and tomatoes going up, this again now touches on nutrition.
You see?
Issues of nutrition as a country. Are we going to actually attain good nutrition? Are we doing our best to fight poverty? So this is actually multi-sectoral.
Yes, and if you made an observation, the review which was done by the JCTR on the food basket for the month of February, we had close to 8,000 basics people per family in Lusaka. So that meant that each family of 6 would actually spend in the whole month close to 8,000, And if someone is having maybe a salary of 3,000, it's just a drop, or maybe 2,000, 1,000 for some, 1,500, it's just a drop in the ocean. So if we can have these now upwards adjustment of fuel prices, obviously the food basket for this month of March will be different from that we reviewed. We can even expect it at 10,000. It's just a logical expectation.
Yes, and so moving in, Alex, into our next segment, we have this topic from the Zambia Law Development Commission, talking about marital rape. If you remember last week, where the Zambia Law Development Commission was actually recommending that bigamy, which is the act of marrying another person, where you're married to someone else, should actually be removed from the penal code because it is in the Marriage Act, and this caused a lot of talk. People misunderstood.
Yes.
But if you follow it closely, they were just saying they don't want the law to be duplicated. So they're saying this is already provided for in the Marriage Act. Why should it be in the Penal Code again? But then this time around, they have another recommendation. It is not like they're recommending, so it's more like a suggestion.
It's not yet.
It's a suggestion, and so this has sparked a lot of debate among stakeholders. So they're actually suggesting that marital rape should be criminalized. So we have had different stakeholders coming on board. For example, we've had gender activists. We had the Young Women Christian Association saying it is a good move, it will help in fighting gender-based violence. We had the church saying it is a bad idea, and we had other stakeholders saying even if we comment, it will not do any good because they have already presented it before the parliamentary committee, and so they're saying even if we talk, there is no use. They should be engaging us before taking anything before the parliamentary committee, so that whatever we're saying actually is of impact. We just be making noise without having any impact. So basically, Alex, we compiled a story on marital rape last week, so that let's just take a look at that story and hear what the Zambia Law Development Commission has to say. Zambia Law Development Commission has been the highlight in the media for the past 1 week, facing scrutiny following its suggestion for the offense of bigamy to be decriminalized in the Penal Code. The Commission has come forward once again, recommending that marital rape should be criminalized, as while the offense of rape is clearly spelled out along with its punishment, marital rape is not.
Well, under our desk research regarding international and regional instruments, we found that the Convention on the Elimination of Violence Against Women recognizes the need for countries that have signed that convention, which includes Zambia, to explicitly criminalize marital rape in legislation, because a lot of violence against women does occur within intimate partner relationships.
While various stakeholders like the Young Women Christian Association feel this is a good step in fighting gender-based violence, other gender activists feel that this should first be discussed among relevant stakeholders. A gender activist, Ms. Charity Kampamba, says the matter is not simple as it involves the church, traditional counselors, and gender organizations.
So if we say this is rape, yes, it could be rape, it could not be rape, but then this should go with some sensitization to these couples that are in this. And therefore, for now, all what we would call for is, prior to marriage, can we ensure that all our women and the men are taught to the latter, so that they know how to deal with these things up to the end. And like putting it across to say, no, this is rape, and therefore this should be a criminal. Yes, we know we have the law and everything is guided by the law. No one is above the law. But a marriage sacred is something that no one cannot understand. So we feel, for now, this should be under discussion.
Meanwhile, in a phone interview, a clergyman, Bishop David Masupa, says the same should not be entertained.
I really don't know what the Zambia Law Development Commission really wants to turn this country into, because now they are trying to incite women to be revealing what happens in the bedroom, because most of it which will be reported may not even be true. So I would rather they let the people of Zambia decide for themselves whether that is viable or it is not viable.
The stakeholders have called for consultative meetings on matters of national interest before key decisions are made. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. So there you have it, the controversial story where different stakeholders are raising divergent views on the issue of marital rape. We have on set Madam Charity Kampamba, a gender activist from the Federation of Free Trade Unions under the gender desk. So welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you so much, Zipporah. How is our studio this morning?
No, it's fine. Just greet our viewers out there.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, viewers.
Yes, definitely. So welcome to the show. Can you just tell us maybe a bit about what you do under the gender desk?
Well, I'm coming from Federation of Free Trade Union of Zambia, and this is a mother body for affiliate unions. So far, we have so many affiliate unions, and we have a desk that is in charge of the gender issues. And in this case, we look at the welfare of the workers. This is the women in particular. And not only that, we are also there to create a safe space for this girl, because this girl tomorrow will be a woman. And above all, we also look at the injustices, that is socially and of course economically, for the workers. That's what we do. And as the Federation of Free Trade Union of Zambia Women's Committee, those I would say are some of our issues that surround our work.
Yes, definitely. And so we have this trending topic, like you were seen there in the story, commenting on the same issue. So last week we had the Zambia Law Development Commission, who actually came out and said they want to introduce marital. They are actually recommending for marital rape to be criminalized, because currently rape is a crime in the penal code, and it has been a jail sentence of up to 15 years or a life sentence. And so they're saying they're looking at issues of gender-based violence in the home, and whether, so I don't know, what is your general take on the matter? Is it something that should actually be passed into law, or what are some of the ramifications of the same if it is passed into law?
You know, Zipporah, this is something that is debatable. Because if we look at the rape itself and where it is being pushed into, it is being pushed into a marriage. And marriage is an institution between the two, where even the sexual act is allowed. That is by both parties. If anything, both parties tend to enjoy. But then if we say, let us have this one as an offense, and maybe try to sentence the victim in this so-called marriage, I think for now, as the FFTUZ, we are saying it's something that should be studied. We need to look into it, to the latter, so that we have divergence views. Here, this rape is not maybe drawn from a woman point of view, but both parties. A man too can be raped. Even a woman can be raped. If you are not interested, then this woman is on you.
Yes.
Then that is rape too.
Yes.
So this is something that is under discussion. But of course, we are not saying it's something that should be left. It is all about this couple to understand each other. Me, I'm coming from a worker's point of view, and we are in support of the women that are workers. At times, there are situations where this woman is tired. You've been working, I would say, like in your case, Zipporah, what time did you leave home, if I may ask you? Possibly if you tell me to say, Mama, I woke up at 05. Yeah, you are working. Possibly you break your day at 19 hours. You reach home, this same man wants you to prepare food for himself, for him, the children and other things. Then in the night, you're supposed to again to be given these chores. So now, you'll be there saying, no, maybe I'm tired also. But then communication between the two of you is key, and this man is supposed to understand. But if he forces himself on you without understanding and respecting your views, then it becomes something else. Otherwise, this is communication between the two parties.
Yes, maybe to those who are just joining us, and those who might be wondering what we're discussing about, earlier on, the Zambia Law Development Commission actually proposed that any husband who will enjoy conjugal rights without his wife's consent will face prosecution if Parliament ratifies a recommendation of the same commission to include marital rape in the penal code in Zambia law. As you may know, rape is defined as when any person has unlawful sex with a woman or a girl without her consent, or with her consent obtained by force. If permission to have sex is obtained by force or through threats or intimidation of any kind, the act amounts to rape. That is what we are calling for. And the question really this morning is, should marital rape be legalized or be put on penal code so that it becomes a crime? And we're joined in the studio by Madam Charity Kampamba, who's actually the gender activist and also FTTUZ chairperson, women chair lady, that is. So we were saying about something that is very important, that we need to really study the situation before we can actually conclude. But then I said yes when you also referred to a man, because I felt this has been mostly pushed to the women's side. I know you advocate for women, but don't you think men should also have a say on this subject?
Yeah, Alex, as I indicated, this can come from either way, that is male, female. So if we are not biased, we need to protect both sides. How I wish this marital policy, or should I say the same act, can be pushed to both parties and not just favoring the other side, because here we are dealing with rape. And from your definition, you are saying rape is where one goes into a sexual act without the consent of the other. Yeah. So both can find themselves in such an act. So for now, possibly as I indicated, as FFTUZ, we are saying, can this be tabled to the latter so that we hear divergent views from the people out there? On the ground, yes, I know this is a platform where people would get views, but if attached to research and many more, this is something that will help our nation. Basically, if we just agree to this law, most of the marriages, I'm telling you, will break. It's not things. And if we can't run away from the traditional aspect, we have the marriage counselors. Before one is initiated in this marriage, the ladies are taught. They should know what they are expecting in their marriage. That's why there is psychological contract. It's just like you going into employment. Your first thing to reap is, for me, basically, I will have a better pay, I will have accommodation, I will have this, equal in marriage. So if we are saying our counselors, they have not done good to us, to tell us to say, where you are going for marriage, and sex is one of those things, either you want it or not, you are supposed to satisfy each other. Then we are not going to protect our marriages. So we feel, and I'm strongly saying that, let this be discussed to the latter, so that tomorrow we become a better Zambia. That's what I can tell you for now, Alex.
Sure. The numbers are scrolling on the screens. You can also join us with this conversation by contributing and also ask questions where you're not clear, so that you can get interacting and find out from you what you take out of this subject. Zepor.
Yes, definitely. And last year, Alex, we had about 20,000 divorce cases around the country, arising from different factors. But then there are also these concerns about gender-based violence in the event that this act actually does happen in the marriage. I don't know what is your thought, because you said what is your thought basically on, does it actually happen in some marriages or does it not happen? And maybe in terms of those people who are actually supporting it, are saying this will actually help in reducing the numbers of GBV cases. So against that argument, what can you answer? Or we have a caller, we can just speak a call.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Your name, your contribution, and where you're calling us from.
I'm Kelvin, I'm calling you from Kanush.
Okay, your contribution to the topic.
Yes, I want just to contribute on this topic whereby marital rape can be enforced into the law.
Yes.
Let this issue remain with the counselors, marriage counselors.
Okay, why do you say that?
Hello?
Why do you say that?
Let this issue remain with the marriage counselors, because we have got our customs in Zambia. If a person or a man and a woman want to command each other, they pass through counseling. They teach us how to behave in the bedroom. When it comes to law, maybe a man would give up a woman in other things. The woman will take it, either her husband to the court and pretend if she is raped. And the marriages will end up very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for
so much. That's quite profound. And that brings me to another observation, really. How do we ensure we make a person is genuinely telling the truth?
A distinction between...
Yes, because like he says, we can have someone just, they have differences in their house, other things.
And then
but
they go and take advantage and say, I was raped.
Yes. So
because of this law.
How do you make of that, Madam?
Thank you for that contribution from me coming from Kaloloshi. It's a brilliant one. As he has put it, I think even in my earlier sentiments, I did mention to say, this is something that is supposed to be handled by marriage counselors. Why? Because the marriage counselors are so interested and they are, I would say, trained in that area, who will give us morals and values of a bedroom. But then, if we say no, let it pass.
We have another call, madam. It's actually very hot topic.
Don't forget that thought.
Okay, okay.
Good morning. You're through to a breakfast show. Your name and where you're calling us from. Good morning. Good morning. We seem to lose that call. Please call back and make sure your volume is reduced and be on a place where we can get you.
Okay.
Your thought.
Okay, so what I was saying is that, you know, this thing is supposed to be left to the marriage counselors. Why? Because these are the people that are trained. They know the values of a bedroom. So marriage per se, they are going to guide us to the latter. But then if you heard his contribution and his worries, for instance, it happens in a home, how are they going to detect it to say there is truth in this? So this is why we are saying also that let us leave it for discussion and of course research, because we have the medical people around this area. They are the ones that would give evidence to say, no, it is true, this woman was raped or not, or this girl was raped. If anything, for girls, it's much easier, unlike women at my age. So if that a thing happens, then we are going to agree and implement it. So for now, let us give it time. If anything, the marriage counselors are best to handle this, unlike ourselves, and agree to this law. To say, no, let us enact it. It's not something that should come in now. Let us just pack it for now and see how we are going to manage issues. Then Zipporah, you also mentioned of the violences, the GBVs. Of course, I was privileged to read something from our spokesperson.
So to read something of our spokesperson, don't forget that. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning. We seem to lose that one as well. So you are the privileged to a spokesperson.
Okay, yes, I was just echoing to what she brought in to say
the GBV.
GBV, yes. Of course, it should be 2 weeks ago, if not last month. There was a report that came through our spokesperson, police service, Hamonga, yes, where he gave us statistics. In 2020, we were at 22,000 plus. Then in 2021, we were somewhere at 20,000, meaning we have a difference of 1,500 plus, if I'm not mistaken, in my own funny calculations. So meaning there is a reduction in what is happening.
Let's just pick this call.
Okay.
Good morning. Morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. You're through to our breakfast show. Your name and where you are calling us from.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Mr. Samatari from Solwezi.
From Solwezi. Kindly speak up.
Okay. I've been following this discussion.
Kindly speak up, sir. Or put your...
I've been following these issues of marriage procedures to be rape and it has also a law in our country. First of all, I want to say that marriage is from God. It was instituted by God himself when Adam and Eve came together. And then people who are supposed to get married, they are told how they are supposed to live spiritually and traditionally as well. But now, I'm Where are we going? Because the people who affect the social especially in this region, the Bible says that a woman has no authority over her body. The man also has no authority over her body. In the government, in the book of Ephesians chapter 5, it's two going down, study from there. Let a woman be submissive to their husband, and let the husband also love the wife. The wife also love the wife. And then in the book of Genesis, chapter 24 says, a man shall rule the wife, and the wife is husband. That's because the man is the head of the family. Not in this case, the woman can be the care of the rest of the day. If the husband is the fault, and the way they are thinking is because that's the dream of faith. And that person is thinking for his own, and the wife is directly the children. You need to take care of his spirit. And you think that man is released from spiritual cancer. Is there going to be any split between the woman and the man? And is there going to be a split also between the children and the wife who relate to men? So these are the things that you must be putting consideration before in that law. And in Zambia, we are saying the Christian nation that I'm very surprised in seeing these issues that they are bringing in parliament, where they have no woman marry more than one husband. So I'm sure so much of that to show an example how she came to marry more than one husband. Because the Bible says, let a woman is a woman of one husband, let a man of one wife. Now, are we neglecting those?
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. And remember, there was that MP, the same MP is talking about last week. He was saying allow women to marry more than one husband.
Yeah,
so I think that was raised from the misunderstanding of that bigamy.
Bigamy, though, yeah.
But Madam Kamba, what do you respond maybe to our caller?
I think the previous caller actually is just sharing our language. From Christian point of view, I'm sure he has quoted from Ephesians where he's talking about submission. A woman is supposed to submit. Then he has also talked about this body, either way, male, female, does not belong to you when you're in marriage, meaning it's for the other person. So if you say no, then what are you doing or what are you trying to bring out? So in a nutshell, it's simply referring to the traditional counselors, marriage counselors, to say these counselors normally are supposed to give out this information to the people that are going into marriage. When you are in this marriage, it's not like you're going into town for shopping or what. No, or today I will go and come out. No, you are going there for your life. And up to death do part, that's when you can move out. But then, if you are going there maybe to explore, to do business as usual, you will not manage your marriage. No wonder we are saying there are so many issues that can come out. If this was given space to discuss, then we are going to make a decision to say this does not mean well or it means well. Yes, rape is there for protection, especially with this girl who is vulnerable. Let us push a girl up there. This girl is protected. No wonder we are saying rape is where one is forced. But if you are in marriage and you have agreed to those terms, then where is rape coming? So we are saying let it be under discussion. But then before I got these sentiments from the last caller, I ended by talking about the statistics that were given last month under GBV, meaning that this year, last year there was a reduction compared to 2020. Why? Because people are getting to know each other. And if anything, we need to be understanding the causes of same violences. For instance, if you say no in this marriage, the other party will be annoyed. And others pick it as something that is offensive, and they tend to fight. But that is not solving problems. No, you need to talk. Dialogue is given in a bedroom. talk, present your issues. See, my friend, I'm unwell. Because, you know, if your partner is unwell, this partner of yours is sick, then you are forcing her to have it. Then you are not taught. Because if this person is sick, is unwell or she's unwell, you're supposed to have that feeling because you share the same body. Imagine, Alex, if you as a body, if one part of your body is unwell, are you telling me you're going to perform your functions? You're not even force your way. So if your partner is unwell, it means part of your body is also unwell, and you need to respect that. If anything, you need to show the care and, of course, see the nursing skills to the highest level of expectation. But then if you show that I don't care attitude, you are doing whatever you want, then this woman will be saying, is this man loving? Yes, we know courtship at times does not bring out the true reflection of a person. This Alex will pretend throughout for 5 years. People will go into marriage. In marriage, that's when you'll see the true picture of Alex. Then you'll be wondering to say, hey, what kind of a person did I pick on? Is this the real Alex? This person used to give me flowers. This person used to bring sweets. But today, where are those things, you know? So there is no pretense.
Okay, we have a call.
Let's just speak that call. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. I'm very calling from the Little Dhaka.
Yes, Reverend.
Yes, good morning to the both of you, the presenters, and good morning to your guests.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. This is a very pertinent and very thorny topic of discussion, and I think it requires proper reflection, especially that you know what is family is an institution that has ordained by God, marriage of God. And so if we are to look at issues of this nature, I think the best approach is to revisit, you know, what scripture speaks to marriage. There is a portion of scripture that does refer to the fact that it was not so from the beginning. And I think at that particular time, it is referring to the time that I think the people of the day were raising issues about divorce. And the Lord Jesus Christ said to talk to them how that it was not so from the beginning, but because of the hardness of their hearts. You know, Moses had to, you know, come up with the Mosaic law that you know, say, you know, you can hand over later or something like that, you know, to your partner if you feel the need to let go of your wife. But, you know, God has divorce. And so is the issue of, you know, now what is being called marriage, marital rape. First and foremost, if we understand that the institution of marriage is the end of God, then the first thing that is required is that every person that you know desires to go into the institution of marriage should understand, you know, the prescription of marriage, the do's and the don'ts. And I think I do also concur with your guest when she says, you know, those that are tasked with the responsibility of counseling the two people coming into marriage, I think they are also better placed, you know, to be able to deal with these issues, because that process of counseling is a process that should help the two people that are coming into marriage to appreciate and understand their various roles or their respective roles in the institution of marriage. The only two places the Bible, you know, talks about one is you should be able to abstain from sex, and that is where there is a conflict for both of them to go into the presence of God, to seek the face of the Lord, pray and fast. But where the other person probably is unaware, and it has to be through, you know, engagement of the people. But if we open this Pandora's box of wanting to pursue the route of you know, the law, and say, you know, we should enact it as a law that, you know, one can come up with a claim that, you know, has been raised in the institution of marriage. This will not just, you know, destroy the fabric of marriage, but it's going to open a Pandora's box where there is so much of hypocrisy. And I agree with some of the sentiments that you've already alluded to, where people can have differences away from sex, and they'll be able to use that as a weapon. We've seen how there's been a degeneration in the marriage institution. The issues GDP and all these things that are currently going on as a result of not having to understand properly the institution of marriage from both ends, and this is irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman, because this is a government issue, so it affects all of us, both the male folk and the women folk. I think there's been a departure or a dilution in terms of understanding, what we are expected, the role that we are expected to play in the marriage institution. Because even when people disagree, they should not disagree to destroy each other. They should disagree to agree because it is within the framework and the role of the marriage institution. But what is leading to all things and the topic of discussion today is because there's been a departure from what was originally instituted of the marriage institution. And I think that is what, for me, I would call on the church, I would call on the believers, I would call on we that are now being done to the Christian nation to begin revisiting what the Bible says in regard to marriage. Because marriage is not of the world. Marriage is an institution from God. So if you are going to need to seek solution from the world, it's already a departure from the source who is God itself. So let's go back to God, and we cannot go back to God through His word and understand the prescription of what is expected of us in the marriage institution. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you, Reverend.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that was Reverend
Quite a good
Mandul giving us
observation.
from the church point of view, and I'm sure he's expounded a lot and passionately so.
Yes,
So we
yes.
can see that Zambia is a Christian nation, so there's always this conflict of the law and religion.
Yeah, I like the point he raised where you can't solve something which is golly outside, the institution.
Using the law.
But again, my belief is the premise at which the commission is actually proposing this is because there's a problem identified.
Such
And
as
the problem, yes, the problem of raping either the husband or the wife. And in most cases, the women who fall prey to this vice. And so they're trying to put up something that can solve the problem. Don't you think it's justifiable enough to say there's been maybe records of rape cases and they want to solve that through law?
Alex, I would say that for them to come up with this decision, or should I say a recommendation, they have done their work too. But then we respect whatever they did. They did some research and came up with their own recommendation, hence moving into saying this marital rape should be a law. But then this is not enough. Why? Because other stakeholders, I would say, were not engaged and involved. For instance, what the Reverend has just said, if the church was fully involved in this, they would have had their own language to say, no, this is something that is well respected. This is an institution that is godly. So why should we do this? If we do this, what will be the consequences? So equally, they were going to bring in their views. The traditional, the marriage counselors were also going to do this. So what we are saying is, this research that was done to come up with this recommendation is not enough. Can they explore more? Because this actually will bring chaos in these marriages. Most of the marriages will break, and it will be something else. If you look at what the Bible has put up, where sex is concerned, it is between the two. And these are the two that have agreed. Once you agree, you agree. No wonder in marriage there is no I pronoun. It does not exist. It is we. Even if you, Alex, you have a coin, that coin is not meant for you alone. It is for the two. If you have 100 kwacha, it is for the two. So why even go out and say I've been raped? Unless we are saying that there are other things surrounding the raping, that's when people can go out. And we are not saying we should promote the insecurity in the marriages. No, if you've been beaten, you've been, I would say approached badly by your spouse, you have that right to go out and report. But this one becoming a law where you are forced, and in the first place you were told to say, this is what you are going to find, and never should you deny, then why should you report the other person? So let us go back to our drawing board before we allow this law to pass, and of course analyze, because at the end of the day we are going to have one child-headed houses, homes, We are going to have unruly children who will not receive values and morals from both parents. Apart from that, we are going to have single parents. You know, it's, yes, it is easy. One can be out there single. But at the end of the day, we women, we are the ones that even cry the loudest to say, no, I'm a single woman, I'm a widow.
Just on that, madam.
So what are we saying?
Just on that, so, maybe I'll put in the shoe of a man representing the men who are not actually speaking out because we've provided a number for them to call.
Okay.
But then, don't you think this is targeted mostly to the men? And it's a door or a window for women to just want to break their marriages? Because my belief is, if someone is to go and report to any law enforcement facility or outlets, the intention is to break the marriage because they want this person to be jailed, is it? But isn't just a trap for the men to be jailed out there because they are the ones who mostly force their women?
Alex, I wouldn't know whether it's a trap or not, but then I would also respect your opinion. If it is a trap, possibly it may be a trap. But then we are saying, if it is meant to trap other people, then it doesn't mean well. It is not sitting well in most of us if it is a trap. But then if it is there to curb certain behavior, then that is fine. So no wonder I'm still saying this is not something that should be agreed upon like yesterday. No. Can we give it time? We need to analyze it. Let us see, push in the critical thinking and mind on this one. Then thereafter, we are going to know to say this means well, and it is there to save souls. But if it is there to bring problems, then why allow it?
Just on the consultation part, you earlier alluded to say they didn't do much of consultation to other. I'm sure even you as a chair lady for FTO, you didn't know of it. But then it is already in Parliament, presented as a recommendation to be actually discussed in Parliament. Don't you think it's too late to push in opinions and suggestions by other bodies?
Yes, it can be in Parliament, but again, Parliament has the right to push certain laws out. These are subjected to voting. If it fails, meaning it has failed and it will come out. So the Parliament now is at it. They should look at it critically because it is outside the ground. It is inside there. And the inside, I'm sure even as I'm speaking, I'm not the only one who has added a word on this one. There are many, and of course parliamentarians have listened to us and they've gotten something. So if it doesn't make sense, the parliamentarians, we trust them. They are people who can do something that is good. If anything, they are coming from constituencies where people are, and they are privy to these fights. They know, as you indicated, Alex, this could be a trap. There are some situations where this man possibly, maybe I didn't expect what is happening today in a home. I'll just wake up and create something and say, no, I want to come out and possibly push you into another arena, which is not good. And God will not allow us. God will not allow us. We'll be punished because we don't mean well. So if this thing means well, I trust the parliamentarians. We have women there. They are going to look at this and they are going to understand. Imagine raising children on your own. It's not something that is easy. We're still boys to be men. It's not easy. We've interacted with so many women. They are complaining out there. It's not an easy thing. That's why most of the women in these marriages, you hear, no, yes, there are a lot of things that happen, but I just did, for the sake of the children. But not something that is infringing on your rights and whatever. But there are things that you just ignore and continue living. That's how we were taught. We are Zambians. We have morals and we have values to respect and culture above all.
Indeed.
Okay, so earlier we were talking about what is your response to people who say this is meant maybe to curb the number of GBV cases? Like, what could be a response to people using that argument to push for the law?
Zipporah, when we look at GBV, this is not a cause.
We have a cause.
Just add to that thought, madam. Good morning. Good morning. Are you able to get us, sir?
Hello?
Good morning. Yes, we are getting you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay, my name is Katongo. I'm from Congo.
Great. Your contribution?
my contribution is transition should be performed. Because for children, that's the woman no authority so far affected, even the husband. So when you are married, your fault is not to your partner. And this is partner, what one takes with you, then you deny. You have to be there of the Lord. Then the opportunity to go outside and see the things outside marriage. So that the relationship transforms up to the complete understanding. Thank you.
Thank you so much. He has brought out another aspect that you didn't look at. But before you get to respond, maybe just finish on your thought, and then you respond to that call.
Yes, I was looking at GBV, where I was saying that denying someone sex, of course, is just one among many. Meaning that others, it's because many failed to provide food on the table. And because of the same, you fight, the two start fighting. And even killing each other. This man has become irresponsible from nowhere. And possibly I even pick from the previous scholar where he's saying, maybe he's seeing other women. So those are some of the things that bring in the fights in homes and even killing and whatever. But then the issue of marital rape is not one thing that is there to possibly reduce the numbers. No. There are other issues. There are other problems.
Okay.
Yes.
And what he has brought on in just now, in terms of men now, even women start going out, you know, to look for something that have been denied in their own homes. How do you make of that?
Alex, it's interesting. I'll just give an example of my baby boy. This baby boy, every day I'm denying food in Shima. Then my neighbor is preparing food. What will happen? This boy will go and eat from there. So this is now what we are saying.
Just pick that comment.
Okay.
Good morning, you're to a breakfast show. Your name and where you're calling us from. Morning, are you able to get us?
Hello?
Are you able to get us, sir?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and your contribution?
I'm calling you from Camnet.
All right, your contribution.
My contribution is that it looks like UPNG is forgetting. I'm a supporter of UPNG. But now I want to say that UPNG is forgetting. We have been dealing with the movement. And if the next UPNG is that body and keep it down. Now, they want to fix that they can vote immoral characteristics in Zambia. And they think that the Zambians, we are going to do it and just keep it like that. The Bible says that anyone that to bring in all of behavior in people's lives, they are fighting against God. And they should know. And they should know what is doing. There's no demand for the sake of the country. No. And he's fighting against God's will for people. You cannot encourage immoral behavior in marriage. No. Husbands to support their wives. And wives also are supposed to be helpers for them. The husband and the family. So that role that we are trying to bring is to create anarchy in family. Just to bring more of family in our nation. That is the Christian nation. And we never see to see people that is given power to bring in laws that is delivered from God. Some of them, God is alive and real. Parliamentarians, they are listening. People that is going to vote and working against God. And God is never going to allow him to come to power. Other parties do the best for again. Big and done for right.
Thank you so much. And just a point of correction, it's not the UPND administration pushing for this law. As you may be aware, the Zambia Law Development Commission has been doing consultation for a long time. Even in the previous regime, the consultation processes were there. So we are just having it as a recommendation and presented in Parliament. So the parliamentarians will be discussing it to pass it or to deny it. So let's just take that as a note. It's not the UPND administration pushing for this agenda. It's actually
I think
the
his points are
recommendation.
quite valid.
Yes.
Aside from that,
Yes.
his points are quite valid.
And he says we're a Christian nation and we
said
shall
God will
pray.
never allow you to pass. Yeah, thank you very much for contributing.
Thank you so much. What would be your response to the call?
In the first place, thank you so much for making clarity to say this is not being pushed by our current government. No. It's an individual body that has brought this recommendation. But of course, this recommendation is attached to all the lives of this country. And that's why today we are discussing it. The government has nothing to do with this. It's a recommendation. Even him can bring in a recommendation and people can debate on it. Therefore, we can maybe proceed to agreeing to what he said, to say this is something to do with Christianity, and we know parliamentarians, they are Zambians, these are people that know culture and everything. I don't think they will agree to this and they will vote for this. Yes, so basically they will know what to do because they understand this thing to the latter and the consequences of this. If anything, the consequences are more meaningful to why they would want this thing to be in place. So basically that's what we need to look at.
Okay, and maybe just as we go towards concluding, what other gender issues do we have in the country maybe which you feel should be addressed as someone who's on the gender desk?
I think the commission is something that we've been crying for. If a commission can be set, possibly
a gender commission.
A gender commission, yes. If a gender commission is set, we'll be looking into all these things. There are so many things that happen. Even the repealing of certain laws, acts and stuff like that, the commission will be better placed to deal with this. So we know and trust our government that is there, the New Dawn government, will be in a position to look into this because this is something that women and of course men have been crying for too long. Even as we commemorate maybe our International Women's Day, this coming 8th March, yes. It's one thing that we'll be crying for, to say, can we see this thing come to fruition so that all these issues are addressed? Because when we have a commission, it's more like having a bedroom on its own. Most of the things will be managed within. They'll be coming up with programs and other things that will deal with certain laws. So basically, that has been an issue that has been outstanding. And we are seeing this one, of course, coming to pass because they are listening and it's a listening government. So it has to make sure that this thing comes to pass.
But currently we do have, is it a desk under the office of the Vice President?
Yes.
But how effective has it been, and has the work of maybe people doing gender issues, has it been coordinated? Currently, how is the picture, especially that in the absence of the ministry, how has been the picture?
Okay, in the past we used to have a standalone ministry, that was Ministry of Gender. But then we have seen that this time around, we have a gender under the Vice President's office. And this one is headed, of course, by the peers. And most of the gender issues are being managed within the same. I would maybe cite an example of preparation for Women's Day. That has been there. If anything, we've not seen any difference. Meetings are being held, we are being engaged. So if anything, the roles are being managed so well. If anything, let us give them time to settle. Once they settle, they know how, it's not easy. It's not an overnight thing that if a change is done on something, you expect maybe the best. But of course, so far, nothing has changed. They are equal to the task and they are performing. So we are looking forward to get more from the division.
Okay, so come this 8th March, what are we expecting basically? Maybe in terms of the theme, the celebrations, what is the focus message of this year?
Well, the focus for this year is to do with the equality gender equality, basically. So this is what they have brought in. And these equalities, to some extent, they are supposed to be balanced during this COVID era. You know, this new normal thing, it has come with its own issues, but of course, they have put things in place. Yes.
Okay, definitely. And you were mentioning about the coronavirus. How do you feel maybe the pandemic, what impact does it have? Are we going to achieve gender equality by 2030? What threats are brought? What solutions can be? Maybe what do you feel should be done maybe for us to achieve gender equality by 2030, looking at the current picture on the ground?
Zipola, in the first place, we need to understand this new normal. Of course, we are in the COVID-19 era, but then we are told to say new normal. What does this new normal is? If we understand it, we'll be in a position to match with the time frame. Why? Because we need to understand it, accept it, and perform as per se. Remember, we never used to have Zoom meetings. It was something that was so funny when it came. You are told, mute your mic, do this, do this. But the moment this person tells you to mute your mic, you do so and you continue. Tomorrow you will not, you unmute or you will mute because you've been told. So already we are there, we are catching up. You know, when I was coming, it was something that was shocking. You know, traffic was too huge. But then I was saying, new normal, new normal. If certain works that do not need the physical being there, and they can be done from a sitting room or from someone's bedroom, you are there on the laptop, you attend this meeting, you do this, that, new normal. Will these roads be crowded the way they are? No, but now it's something, it's gradual, I know. Yeah. We'll attain what we want to attain.
Yes, so we've been discussing the topic which is actually making noise about social media and mainstream media, where we are asking, should marital rape be passed into law? And we've been joined in the studios by Madam Charity Kampamba, who's the gender activist, also a women lady, chairperson for women in FT2Z as an organization. Thank you for coming through, Madam. We appreciate for your time and also the insightful points that you've actually included. Maybe we'll just give you a short period of time to just give your last remarks.
Okay. As Federation of Free Trade Union of Zambia, FF2Z, National Women's Committee, I would say that this law is something that has come. It is new on board. All what we should do is to take our time. Let's see, of course, do more consultation on this. I trust our parliamentarians. They will not pick anything that will come on their way. These are learned people. They know, they understand the consequences. If anything, our heart as mothers is to protect this baby in this home. Assume this marriage breaks today, leaving out 2, 3, I would say under 5 children. What will happen? These are future leaders. These are future parliamentarians. These are future presidents. So can we protect the values and morals of marriage so that tomorrow we become a better Zambia? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Zipporah, what do you take of today's program and today's item of discussion?
So basically, maybe especially on the part where you emphasized on taking time, because I remember I was talking to Bishop David Masupa the other time. He was saying these bodies have got a habit maybe of making recommendations and taking them to Parliament, which makes it hard for like even people who are commenting to really have an impact. So actually, they're actually advocating for things to be first discussed in detail before they're actually presented before Parliament. And I'm sure as people that are advocating gender issues, I'm sure you speak out on the same issue and give your views, and people definitely hear on the matter. And earlier, Alex, we were talking about the fuel prices. So today, like we mentioned earlier, we're going to get views of different stakeholders on what they feel about the monthly reduction and increment on fuel.
Indeed. So thank you so much for everyone who joined us on this platform. This is your community desk, which always comes on your screen on Mondays and Tuesdays. And tomorrow we'll be having a policy and with Patrick Soko, Zipporah, and also Madam Sharon Kalimbula will be taking us into politics. And also Thursday, on Friday, we'll be having a business desk by Prudence and Miriam Kaimba. So do stick around as you tune into this Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. From me, Alex Shimba, and my co-host, Zipporah Mshala, it's a good morning.